that, you know, people wanted some growth, but when it really started taking off, it was big change, and not everybody deals well with big change and that, and everything that comes along with it. You know, the wear and tear on the roads. And I know there was a point in time, I believe, when they were talking about, you know, taking the roads in YLP and making them county roads, and there was a lot of hubbub about that. And then when they were doing some construction at some point, all sorts of traffic had to come through because they had to go around something that was going on between the front of Yosemite Lakes Park and Coarse Gold. And so there was just tons of traffic through there and semis, and that was made everybody really unhappy. And I don't know if they ever got reimbursed because they are private roads for the county or the state or whoever was doing that time for the damage done because of the amount of traffic coming through. You know, so just maintenance of things is always a big thing. I have 2 children. I have
did they come, I don't know how old
they were 5 and 3 when we moved here. So my son was in kindergarten and my daughter was not. And we ended up going to, when I got my first job working over at Spring Valley School, she went to the daycare at Margaret Kennedy's daycare that she had out there. The building's the same, but now it's a different owner. I believe she's retired from it. And that was a really nice convenience to have someplace where you felt you could have your kids go if you were working. When we first moved up here, we both still commuted to Fresno. And after about 6 months of that, I told my husband, I said, why did we move up here? We're going to spend all our time in the car, and these kids are in the car all day going down to Fresno, to daycare down in Fresno, because I was still working at the YMCA. And so I resigned from that, and then they went through school at Coarse Gold, and it was a really good school. They had, good programs and helped my kids along the way. Yeah, I mean, that's all their best friends are from when they lived there, still to this day. And now they're 42 and turning 42 and turning 40, and still their best friends are people that they met, at the pool or that lived in the park, and they really enjoyed it. When we moved out here, it was a little further away. There was a lot of complaining because they were so in '91 they had been, that was 8 years, so 13 and 11. And they did not like that their friends were so far away. Because in the park, we lived up on Wild Horse Court, they could walk down to the pool or meet down at the clubhouse. And there was they did a lot of walking, which was nice. And they could walk to their friend's house and stuff. They had friends that were down Long Hollow, but we did a lot of, sharing kids back and forth. They had a group of friends that they had another family that they were friends with, and there were boys and girls in that family, and we did a lot of, you come spend the night at our house, and then you go back and spend the night there, and so that worked out really well. There was a lot of that went on and stuff. So, and those are still some of their best friends to this day. So when we got involved with the horses, we had less than 2 acres. So you can't have a horse on your property on less than 2 acres. So we came across, my daughter had gotten really involved in riding, and we from Stan and Romy Cooper, who lived way up the top of John Muir back in there, they had this nice little pony. Well, there was no room at the barn, and they were selling that pony, and we wanted it for my daughter. So we ended up, because there was no neighbors, we were able to sort of get away with it for a while until one of our neighbors up above us who liked to rat about everything. We just did a hot wire and kept this little pony on, a half an acre, and we managed to do it for a few months before, my neighbor decided she could see it or something. And even though it was far away from her, I was breaking the rules, and so she ratted on me. And that time it was Mary Hansen, and I actually worked for her at that time at the pool. And I saw her drive by, and I thought, oh, I'm going to hear it now. And so she she did call me and say, you know, you're not supposed to have your pony there. She was very nice about it. And I said, I know, but there's no room at the barn. And I didn't have any other opportunity of any place to put it. And so very soon a spot opened up and the pony went to the barn. And that's when we started working on dividing it up and making it so more people would have the opportunity to keep their animals there that didn't have the bigger acreage and stuff. And then they got into high school, and you know, both of them were driving by the time they were 16, and it was like my daughter had a horse and she said, I want a car. And I said, well, see that horse right there? She hadn't been riding it, and I said, there's the money for your car. And so we sold the horse and she got her first car. And she worked at Rayleigh's, and my son he worked at the feed store at one time and worked different jobs and stuff until they moved out, and my son joined the Air Force. And
yeah, that's it. And he's in the Postal Service now.
right, and my daughter went to Humboldt State, and she actually lives in Mariposa and works for the Sierra Foothill Conservancy, working with ranches and doing conservancies and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so they both have, and having been from this area helped her to get that job and to work with ranchers, because she knew a lot of the people, and she goes, oh, I grew up in the foothills and I'm familiar with this, and it actually helped her in a couple other jobs she had before.
She's a mountain girl.
Yeah, she's a mountain girl. She likes the mountains, and my son would like to be up in the mountains, but their jobs keep them down in the Fresno area right now.